7:31 on February 28th, and first we'll do our pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you have any added agenda items this evening that I'm aware of? All right, we have the minutes from February 14th. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, Fran, second motion from Heather, second from Fran. I think we do have a amendment to make. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just didn't see Carrie noted in the attendance section as being absent. So we should just make that.
Yeah, we can make that notation and let Jessica know. Any other questions or corrections to the minutes? All right, a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the February 14th regular meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes. All right, public participation. Do we have anyone from the public this evening? All right. All right, and then Vincent, student representative.
Meeting. Last week, fourth graders at Broadbrook Elementary School completed the DARE class taught by our SRO, Officer Valencia. The fourth grade parents joined us to celebrate their students' accomplishment. Tomorrow evening, the fourth grade band will perform their first concert at East Windsor Middle School. Broadbrook School is preparing for our One School, One Book program. Those are provided to students and families this week to build anticipation. The book will be revealed tomorrow at a whole school assembly. The youngest student in each family will take home the book. Broadbrook School is grateful to the PTO for continuing to support this tradition by purchasing books. During the month of March, Broadbrook School will focus on reading the book as a community and engaging in activities that highlight vocabulary, comprehension, and the themes of the book. Broadbrook School will celebrate Read Across America Day on March 5th. PBS is coordinating with the East Windsor Police Department and East Windsor High School to have special read-aloud activities in each classroom. On March 1st, East Windsor Middle School will host its annual Career Day. They're encouraging students to dress as their future selves. Xavier Riviera Johnson, a 10-year-old author and motivational speaker, will be the keynote speaker at East Windsor Middle School's Career Day on March 1st. Additionally, EWMS will hold its February student incentive on the same day. Students will also participate in Drop Everything and Read to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday. Tomorrow, the 5th and 6th grade band concert will take place at 6:30 p.m. at East Windsor Middle School. The athletic department is hosting a spring sports parent night on Monday, March 4th from 6 to 7 in the high school cafeteria. East Windsor Middle School will be having a softball team and a track team in the spring. At the high school, students had a spirit week from February 12th to February 15th that ended with the winter sports pep rally on Thursday. Both the girls and boys basketball team culminated the regular seasons with home wins on their senior nights. Both the boys and girls basketball team have made the state tournament. The girls played their first round on this Monday and won, and the boys will host the home game for the first round on March 5th. The school continues to run FAFSA workshops for families. The last workshop will be held in late March. The school is preparing for Think About Your Future Week in March. Events include college tours, business visits, career speakers, and students taking the PSAT and SAT exams. The drama club continues to rehearse for Snoopy the Musical, which will be on April 5th and April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we have East Windsor Middle School.
Real quick, the concert tomorrow night has been changed to 7 o'clock for 5th and 6th. So if you're coming, 7 o'clock.
The fourth grade too, right?
The 4th is at 6. The 4th goes first, and then there's I get the 4th grade parents out, and then we're doing 5th and 6th after. There wasn't enough room inside the auditorium.
Okay.
I'll be there.
All right.
For all of it.
Good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go. One thing we do every time in East Windsor Middle School, especially with our staff, I know a couple times we've done this with you guys at circles. I know it's been a long day. You guys have been here for a little bit, right? So first, kind of do a little introduction real quick. So which breakfast cereal are you and why? So right now, how are you feeling? So right now, I feel like Frosted Flakes. I feel great. All right, Mrs. Dykes.
I feel like Lucky Charms because I'm lucky to work at East Windsor Middle School.
All right, then so we'll go around real quick.
Like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a lot.
A lot of sugar was not like.
I like the Cocoa Puffs, you know, I'm feeling the Cocoa Puff energy.
Honey Nut Cheerios, because I know that's what's in my house.
Goodness.
You can always pass too. We don't ever want to put pressure on someone if they don't have one or.
I'll go for a little Chex cereal. Chex Mix is very popular in my house. I'll go with the Chex, just feeling the different varieties there.
I'm gonna go with Fruit Loops. One of those days.
The first thing that came to mind for me was oatmeal. So
Going kicks. I'm gonna go with Cocoa Krispies. I just eat all that chocolate.
I went grand with the oatmeal.
I'm thinking Sugar Pops.
Are good. I have some at my house right now.
Probably a Special K chocolatey delight. It's one of my favorites. Like classic with a little fun mixed in. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Shredded wheat. It's like this. Fine.
So that's one thing we do in the middle school. We try, especially in our fifth grade, they do circles every morning. We're incorporating that other grades too. So here's another question, kind of a little more, is what is something that gives you energy? For example, my energy that gives me, like, especially on the weekends, is yard work. I love doing yard work. It really helps me get the week going.
I go hiking a lot on the weekends.
Celsius energy drinks because like 7 a.m. is a big ask.
He looks to the left.
Gargale would be great tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
A little unconventional for an answer, but I feel like if I have sleep, I'll have energy, so I'll go with sleep.
I second you.
Sleep, and I also enjoy reading. It kind of gives me time to, have a little downtime, relax, that type of thing.
Probably my Pilates class.
like the red horse.
Yeah, for me, it's work and just being with my coworkers.
Running, gives me yoga.
Walking.
Hanging out with friends, catching up. I feel like that re-energizes me.
We appreciate you guys sharing. It's one thing we do at the middle school, especially with our staff and our students too, is kind of build that community. So that, you get a little to know more about each other. So what we're going to talk today about, it really lines up with the portrait of the graduate. We're going to be talking about like how our students are informed lifelong learners, self-aware individuals, and responsible citizens. We're going to be sharing about information about the 4 courses that we implemented this year that are new to East Windsor Middle School, and 2 are new and 2 were kind of revised. And then how it hits the strategic plan is really goal number 2, providing opportunities for all students to find their own path to success and ensuring equitable access all along that path. So we're going to be talking about 2 programs, especially with our special ed population, and how we've really made those changes, and also how we ensure equitability, access to resources too, and continue to create a positive learning environment for all students at East Windsor Middle School. So here are the 4 courses that you guys approved last year for us. One was Gifted and Talented, Unified PE, which changed from Adaptive PE, and then Unified Art, which is brand new, but kind of follows the same thing as Unified PE, and then Digital Citizenship. So this is actually, this is from our Unified Art class. So what it is really is students that are peer mentors that work with students that are in our STRIVE program that have special needs. So this is, if you come in our main lobby, this is something you see that they created together. So tomorrow, if you come to the concert, you'll see it. It looks a lot better in person, like the picture. I do have like an iPhone 8, so that's probably why. All right, so this is a picture from a unified PE class. It's a great class. So you have, sorry, that's all right. We have students who have an IEP, and then we have students who are peer mentors, and they work together. And really, the students without the disabilities are learning so much. I talked to them about what's the best part of your class. They're like, we get to work with students. We get to really know who they are. In the past, they're like, we saw them in the hallway. We didn't know who they were. And now they're real advocates for our students. And that, it's really nice to see them interact. They sit with each other at lunch now. They really get to be a positive role model. And one thing is like they have more positive attitudes. If you go in this class, it's just amazing to watch. Mr. Elliott teaches the class. He does an amazing job. But the peer mentors, like go in there, they do stretches with the students. They get them ready. They're so excited. Like their faces are just bright. Like you're talking about middle schoolers, right? Vincent, like, sometimes, they're like, oh, like they're in that class. They're so happy to be in there. And they're just, and the kids love it. Our kids with, who have the IEPs love being there. They're just so excited to go to that class. They're always there. And talking to the paras, support, they're like, this is so much different than last year. Last year, we didn't have those mentors. It was just, the kids had fun in PE, but now they're interacting with their peers. And that's what middle school is about, is really, you have the kids who are mentors really learning how to be an advocate for other students and learning more about other students.
Yeah, so what's really great about this is that it's not just in the PE or the art class, right? You're now seeing the kids in the hallway say hi to each other, and they're like, oh, what class are you going to? And they'll walk with the students and they walk together. And now some of the students with the IEPs are like, oh, that's my friend, and they'll talk to them. So we're definitely creating different friendships in our building that weren't there, and the opportunity wasn't necessarily always there. So we've created a great opportunity for all of our students to create that more positive culture and just that community.
I think I have a question.
How are the mentors selected and are able to participate?
So this year was the first year we did it. So it has to be right this year, the way the schedule worked, it had to be a seventh grader. So they were nominated by a seventh grade team teacher. And then our guidance counselor at the time talked to students, worked with them, see if that was something they're interested in. And all the students that were nominated wanted to be part of it. And it's not just, it's a different students from different backgrounds too. So they might not be students on student council or play basketball. So these are students that might be interested in becoming a teacher down the road, or they're, so.
So is there since it's new, is there a means for kids to go to someone and say, I want to do this, somebody that you might not pick out normally, like is there a way for them to volunteer their own services?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the year, the guidance counselor went to every classroom for seventh grade and talked about the program, and then kind of got that and said, this is something you're interested in, please talk to your teacher also. So, and then it's a fluid, so we really want the kids to be in there for the year, but some kids have asked to join in January when the semester started. They said, I might have been in a different class and I really would like to be part of that, and we were able to switch their schedule around for them.
Thank you.
So unified art is the same thing. Miss Molloy does an amazing job with our students. Really, it's helping these students, really teaching them how to, be art students, but also really the strategies of, these are the leaders now. They're in charge of the small group at their table. So you see them teaching the other kids how to do the art. So it's really amazing to watch in action.
So a lot of things that take place here, you have the leadership skills, you have the collaboration, you have the communication and the creativity, and it's coming from all different sides. It's not just the mentors, right? Like our other students also have a lot of great ideas, and this is a great opportunity for the mentors to ask the questions and kind of get it out of them, because they can be so creative, and now they're getting really comfortable where they're just sharing amongst themselves at the tables, and you just see that collaboration and communication, which has been really nice.
So I was talking to one of the mentors about this class and how she really has taken the lead of all the other mentors. So the student really, she wasn't in student council or anything like that, but she'll tell the other students like, all right, this is what Miss Malloy wants to do. All right, you go work with this student, you go work and like tell the students which students they're working with and like how to get going. And it's like, we're like, great job. Like the great leadership roles we're seeing is just amazing. So our new course is Gifted and Talented.
Yeah, so this has been really great because, we have students from a wide range of abilities with academics. And I know we were just talking about students with IEPs and mentors, but we have some really, really gifted and talented students. And so this has been the first year that we have had a gifted and talented teacher teaching that program. Second year we've had the teacher, but this is the first year where she's really working on a program. And it just allows them that opportunity to have those deeper connections, go further into different curriculums, be creative. And this is where the gifted and talented teacher has been really using the portrait of the graduate rubric, where she's going in talking about the teamwork, the collaboration, that communication, that creativity, and she is working with them and facilitating. So a lot of it is, I've been in there multiple times now just to observe and see exactly what's going on. And the kids are really excited and they're working on different projects. They have instant challenges where they have like 20 minutes, they have a project, they're competing against another team that's right beside them, and they're just quickly learning, but they have to communicate fast, right? They have to be really creative, and they get so excited for these instant challenges. And then like, well, who won? What do we come up with? Well, how did you do that? And then they're asking each other, right? So they're coming up with questions. They're reflecting on how one group did something else different. So it's really, they're becoming reflective. They're being problem solving. So it really aligns with the portrait of the graduate. And that has really been pushed for this Gifted and Talented program where we're really seeing all of those things come through. So it's been a really nice opportunity for the students involved.
A couple of our students right now in sixth grade are working on how middle schoolers can be kinder to each other. So they're going to be working on that and strategies like, how often are you kind to someone? Why aren't you kind to people? Like things like that. All right, and then the last course is digital citizenship. So really, this is kind of like right up middle school. So we started with fifth grade this year as a semester-based course. Really, it's talking about like taking photos. How does that impact, right? So if you post something online, how could that affect you down the road? And we see that all the time in news, right? Somebody took something in high school or middle school and now is coming back as an adult. So I think the last one was, I think Patrick Holmes made a comment in like high school about Taylor Swift, right? It was like, like
Chose the wrong person.
right. It wasn't a mean one, but like just like they can find anything you post, and that's what really digital citizenship is talking about. Like if you post something, it can come back. So be mindful of what you're posting, and really like the media balance, like not being on your computer or phone all night until 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Using that wisely. Cyberbullying, digital drama, right? That's a big one. I think, as I'm a little older, so when I was a kid, I would go home and like everything would leave you, right? You do your own thing at home, you play with your friends, whatever you're doing. But at middle school right now, and I'm sure in high school too, like it doesn't leave you because your phone's with you all the time. So like, so how can we, use technology to help us, but also like, how do we keep it away from ourselves? And then news and media is really big too. Like, looking at resources, not just copying something off the internet. How do you know it's real? How do you know it's not fake and things like that? And has a resource and is,
No, one of the things that they're looking at is that there's always going to be those headlines, right? That are going to grab you because you want to find out more. And they're definitely doing that with Taylor Swift since you brought it up. But they're just throwing those headlines out there so you click on it. So there's definitely like the clickbait and things like that. So they're definitely learning a lot about that digital citizenship, how to balance that media sense and what does that look like in your life. Kids have projects on like, this is what I'm doing now. They start out and they write down everything that they're doing currently with the media, whether it's at school, at home, on the weekends. And then they're like, okay, that's a lot of time that I'm spending on technology. How do I shift that so it's more of a balance? And they commit to it. And then what does that look like for you? What did you notice change? Were you able to have more conversations with your friends instead of just on the phone texting or TikToking or whatever it is that they do on the technology, right? So there's a lot of different, there's a lot of projects involved. And the kids have really enjoyed, they're sending me their PowerPoints that they're creating. So it just gives them that opportunity to really figure out how it fits into their own life as well.
And so this is like our slide from one of our pep rallies, but really as a school, we have such a diverse group of students with different needs, but like our pep rallies is amazing because they cheer on everybody. It doesn't matter who's up there doing an activity. Everyone's there cheering them on, wishing them the best. And I think that's really, especially in Unified Art and PE classes, we've seen such a different change in the culture with our students. So, any questions?
What grade is the digital citizenship taught?
So this year we started with 5th grade, and then next year we're adding to 6th grade to it. So it's going to keep adding every year as we go on.
That's a semester, one day a week.
It's every 3 days for a semester.
So have you noticed, so I like, talking about the culture of the school and what students are doing. What other, does it have an effect on attendance? Are kids who are participating more likely? You don't have that information yet, but that might be something that you would begin to look at as far as attendance. They're connected, right?
Oh, yeah.
They feel well,
Yeah.
that they're.
Someone's counting on them to be
Yeah,
there.
somebody's counting on that. And
That's great. No, that's great.
find out.
Because I know I was talking to one of our assistants, our music teacher, we're talking about attendance in her room, and if kids have band or chorus, unless they're really sick, they're there. So
I had a student who was sick today and she
she was
very worried,
Yes,
very worried.
You might miss the
What that
concert
looks like
tomorrow.
tomorrow, because there's a concert, right?
yeah,
So,
she was
like,
very
they're
upset.
committed and
Yeah.
they want to
Didn't
come.
want to let down her
Yeah.
friends, her chorus mates.
All right, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Great
much.
presentation. We appreciate hearing about, these types of courses that we hear when they come up and then how they're going. So I do appreciate that. So the next thing on our agenda, we have a financial report from Ryan, who was also able to get back online. So if people do have questions, Ryan is with us remotely.
Yep, I am still here. They're kind of similar to the last report. There's nothing major that stands out. I did meet with Noreen again to go over a number of items. I believe she was going to share what we discussed. Did anyone have any questions in particular about the financial report?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Noreen, I know we had talked about the financial subcommittee chairperson kind of giving a little how that last meeting went, update type of thing. So if there's anything you want to share, and then if people have questions.
Yeah, well, we kind of just started this whole chair situation, so I'll just fill you in on what we're doing. The way Ryan and I have kind of set it up is the week prior to our financial subcommittee meeting. I'm gonna reach out to Heather and Fran and Denise to find out what we want on the agenda. Ryan's gonna give me his ideas of what should be on the agenda. And then right now we've met on a couple of Fridays. The first one was to go over the agenda, figure out what we want to talk about. I met with him again to talk about budget, like these munis reports. And then we're gonna carry forward that way. When we had our financial, and so you guys know, because you're not in our meetings, we take this report that you all have and we go through it line by line, not necessarily line by line, but we all ask Ryan the questions to know why are things where they are, how do they get there? And then if there's follow-up stuff, Ryan follows up. And then, so what you're looking at, we've discussed. That doesn't mean that you guys should not ask questions. It's just that we as a group have gone through it, in that financial meeting. And that's how we're gonna continue moving forward, kind of in that same line. And then at our last meeting, we talked about, so we discussed policies, the 3003 policies that we wanted to have to get gone through. Just as I had a set of them that I had brought up in that meeting that I wanted to look over. And I actually met with Brian and Justin this morning to go over what. So, and then we will talk about that again when we have our next meeting, because those were my specific concerns relative to my own So we're working on those. We also discussed the the auditor's recommendations from the finalized audit, which has to do with, there were two things. One was, the school's student activity fund have not been being done in the Munis system. The auditor wants them to be done in the Munis system, so Ryan is working on getting that transferred over. There was, conversation, we talked about fundraisers and how that money is accounted for, how does it get there? So we're doing all of that. That's what we're doing in our thing. And then we talked about the budgets, and getting up the cost centers straightened out. So we're pretty productive when we have our little meeting, and I think we're getting onto a good track as to a kind of a system to do this with, because they all came in and we're kind of bombarded with the crazy of our past 2 years. So we're getting to a point where we're kind of settled and getting on a track that's going to keep us going in a positive direction.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time you've taken and the work you've done to kind of, raise those questions, but then also help get this in a better place and work on the agendas.
Yeah, and I would say too, it's been nice to meet with Noreen, and I think it's going in the right direction.
Does anybody have any particular questions? Detailed presentation?
Well, I'm just curious, were there any things that came out when you looked at, when you kind of went through this? Maureen, that you felt needed further discussion?
But we talked a lot about like the medical insurance and
Yeah.
why is it the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the conversations that we just had.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring up things like, don't have specifically, but some of the things that Ryan worked on in changing.
Yeah.
That we're looking at in the budget that are getting moved from here to there.
Yeah.
Those are conversations that come up somewhat in our finance meetings with us saying, why is that where that is?
Mhm. Or what makes
Yeah.
that?
And the other thing that we're gonna like completely miss, Ryan has done one set of projections for this year because we kind of started midstream, but on a quarterly basis, so it will be September, December, and April. At the end of every quarter, Ryan is going to project where are we going to be at the end of the year. Which will be helpful knowing as it goes on. So, that's going to become a standard quarterly thing, because I think we did it like mid-October, and just because we were trying to get on the page. So, and again, we're kind of getting things along. But Betsy, as far as most of them were things that we bring it up, and it's either we need to move it from that line to that
Okay.
line, or
Yeah.
it's the grant situation. There was nothing in here that I can remember that jumped out as a Ryan, go figure out what this is.
I like every time we would ask the question, there was a logical reason for it that made sense to us.
So it could be a
Yeah.
huge increase,
Yeah.
but it turns out that it used to be someplace else and he rolled it in one.
That's generally not. or
Very much the same kinds of questions like we asked tonight.
There's a lot of
That's-
overlap from,
Yeah.
from the subcommittee, to, today's budget workshop.
I think it's a great process. I like the idea of the quarterly update because we're always going to be able to, we'll be in a good position to really predict, what we're looking at for funds. It's great.
And hopefully, and I think Ryan uses us as a resource of, how do you think board would like this presented or whatever, so I think he uses us for that as well.
It's done a fantastic job, I think, just overall, in general, just getting it. where it is.
The process that has been much more cleaner, smoother, streamlined.
At the same time, open.
Patrick, I was saying to Denise, as far as COLAID and different things, I don't know if this process is used in other school districts. But this is an interesting process for people. I'm talking about the budget process and the cost centers, and the way that it's done is
You know, maybe people need to know. It can be
What you
streamlined.
whispered to me was, maybe we should do a paid presentation.
There you go.
Go for it.
I'm just saying, this is a, of course, I guess you have to start with people that are willing to work together. That's one very important piece, but.
All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate your hard work on that, Ryan, and the financial subcommittee as well.
No, thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, the next thing to send us, we have a couple new business items up for vote. The first one is the 2024-2025 school year calendar. Was there anything you want to?
I was just looking for the page number so I can refer to it.
39 in the packet.
Just a couple, changes from this school year. And meeting with the administrative team, getting, input from various, stakeholders that, as far as staff in the building. This past year, we did 4 PD days before, school. This year, we went to 3. We had previously done 3. The reason we did 4 this past year was because we had transitioned to Power School. That was a pretty major move, and we needed to train staff on that programming, certainly before students came in. So with this, we're proposing going back to 3 days of PD. And that also allows us to get a full day of PD with staff in the middle of the year, which is nice to have that opportunity to connect. So that day is in January. That's similar to past years. So that's one change. Another change is one of the challenges we had this year with preschool, because they're brand new to the school system. So is kindergarten, but more so preschool. A lot of our kindergarten students do attend preschool. Is to work with those families to ensure that they're medically cleared to start school. So that was an incredible challenge. So with that, we had bumped the start date. We gave ourselves like essentially a full week to work with those families to continue to get them medically cleared. That being said, the number of days preschool is in is the same amount of days. What we did was based on where the days fell in the short weeks, we had taken you'll see like typically we do the first Friday off of each month in April. That date is not there, and in January it's not there, because if that was the case, then the kids were coming Thursday, that was it for the week, and then it makes sense to us. So that was one of the changes with preschool. And then April break seems to be a talking point every single year. We do our research. The vast majority of surrounding towns, I'm not quite sure if we found anyone that's not taking April break the week of the 14th. This year it was pretty split between districts.
Easter runs really late next year.
That's probably why it's not until like the 20th.
Yeah, so I mean, in doing our research, I don't know if we ran into anyone that's not taking April break that week, for consistency purposes for, surrounding Connecticut school districts. Other than that, I'm not sure if there's any questions.
One. Look on the second page. Do we want to leave the meetings at 7:30, or are we gonna, what are we?
Change that to 7 on the bottom. Right here.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna,
Are we talking?
so the very
Presentation meetings.
under, in the last little part on the second page, it says 7:30. So I think if we're, and actually that policy is the next thing we're discussing, but if we're talking about saying for 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I guess that's, we're talking about doing, we had suggested doing 7 o'clock through June. And then I don't know if we were gonna reassess like how that was working for everybody, or if we want to change this to 7 on this, or leave it at 7:30 for now. I don't know. if people are-
Better to have it earlier, so that if by mistake they come at 7 and we've changed it to 7:30, at least they're not missing the beginning of the meeting, you know what I'm saying? But I thought we were gonna reassess it. Where is it listed?
You're from the
bottom,
bottom.
the very bottom box.
Probably very few people who go back.
I know.
It goes up on their fridge.
I mean, we can make a note to just say, see our website.
Because I've never even seen it.
All right, so Patrick was just saying, we could always make a note to say, see our website for meeting times and locations or something like that, and then the website could be updated. And that might be the easiest way, so that way, if, we do change it.
Denise is right. I just said, I never even really noticed that was on there before. I said, I'm thinking about
I
it.
definitely looked at like the dismissal times or the
Yeah,
start times,
agreed.
but yeah, not all the way to the bottom. So I think that would be helpful in this respect.
We try to have to go 180 days too.
They do not. Kindergarten does.
Kindergarten, yes, but not.
The kindergarten was a recent legislative change a few years ago.
Yeah.
So,
How many days is the?
180 school days, 185 for certified staff.
Patrick, is it a coincidence or was it a change or something that was thought through that election day is always off?
It's always been that way. So it's all for students. We do use it as professional development day.
I feel like at one point we had Veterans Day off and they went to school on election day, but then it switched like.
Vincent says yes. That was-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it used to be, but now they go to school on Veterans Day and do kind of a learning, a thing about it, programming about it, and we have election day off. And we've also kind of discussed if they might need to use one of the schools. for
Yeah, I
upcoming
believe, so,
something.
I mean, we've had discussions, we said that, we certainly can make the the Robert gym available. My understanding is, that timeline has passed, so I believe there's some type of filing that way had taken place. or- Yeah, I don't believe there was anything on the town, whoever, I don't know the local players.
This year.
But it's something that may be in the future, but,
Yeah.
my understanding is it's not going to be utilized next year.
So anyway, that's kind of an off, but just in terms of if you better not that school, if that is a situation that comes up.
Plus the parking is
Presidential elections are
is
terrible.
crazy.
Yeah, the parking
And the
across the
parking
street.
situation.
Mhm.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I can recall years ago that we didn't start school until September. I know that pushes us out later in June. Is there a reason why we have not stuck with that, or at least tried to go back to that after Labor Day?
I mean, we haven't had in-depth conversations. I know, I mean, now with weather, it's very hard to predict. I can tell you, typically June has been hotter, but I can make the argument that, I mean, this past school year.
Well, the end of
But
August is, I just can recall it, and I was just wondering about the shift. And if it's a weather thing, then I think it's probably safe from the end of August, because it tends to cool down just a little bit.
I, somewhat, maybe it's a conversation we could have for possibly next year. Because getting out so early in June makes for a tremendously long summer. For a lot of kids, that's, you know, they've got 3 weeks in June, all of July and almost all of August. It's a long, long time to be, and I'm not sure if it affects.
I thought you were saying that as a good thing. I'm thinking it's a good
But
thing.
it technically is gonna be the same amount of time. It's just that one starts at
Yeah.
earlier and
It's
later. So you're just hitting it. I think the problem, which is not necessarily our problem, but childcare, that sometimes camps and things like that don't start till later in June.
Right.
And that can be an issue, but then they end earlier in August. So if you go back that later week, people have that same issue at the end of August as well. But it should be the same amount of time. It's just when one starts and ends.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we need to change this now, but maybe it's something we could have a bigger conversation about from perspective.
Yeah, I mean, next time I can bring, data as far as, like if there are school districts, how many start before and after. I do think there's so I experience, like I work 12 months as the board is aware. My wife does as well too. I mean, essentially camps for our kids, our child care. I'll tell you, it's easier to find a camp, the week of June 16th, than it is August 19th. At least for the, kids. Kids.
Well, and I think at one point, there was also a discussion of like the days before Labor Day, kids are kind of getting used to school, getting to know their classroom, getting to know their teachers. And then when they come back after Labor Day, things really start going. Whereas if you don't start until after Labor Day, then you're kind of losing that first week to, you know, kids learning where they're going for the next period for certain grades or, you know, just kind of, so that type of thing, I know.
But again, it's the same thing. It's
But
just a
it's
week.
the same,
before
it's just a
today.
week different.
I mean, we'll bring the data and
All right.
see,
I just remember, do you remember,
Should have
Kathy
some
Billadu?
parents.
She had pushed hard for that. And so when we first got on, that was one of the ways she said she was,
I thought at one point parents had said they didn't mind starting before Labor Day, but I forget what the exact discussion was. I think it has to do with separation
They
and,
have the parents.
yes, I think.
We're kind of guessing and.
yeah, we could survey parents too. I mean, that's the easy survey question.
Yeah, and you get parents involved in this way as well. You know, they have some agency.
So it might be, as Fran said, a good thing to look at for the following year if we want to do some parent surveys and teacher surveys and that type of thing. All right, so
One additional, June 9th. So because we're declaring that the last day of school now, certainly if there's snow days, we would go beyond, June 9th, but we would not for our 12th grade seniors. So you are allowed under, state legislation to declare that as their high school graduation day. So we have not done in the past. Some school districts have. It's recent, like the last few years. It's not something that's been longstanding, but June 9th, no matter what, would be correct. And that would be the last day for 12th graders.
so if, all right, so the 3rd through the 6th, that's final.
Legislation I'd graduate.
Yeah, we would have to vote the calendar. So we didn't vote on the calendar that way last year.
I'm done.
yeah, just if they some shortened days in the high school, only those would be finals that we.
Yeah, that's good. I just looked.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good. Good terms. fine.
We got an hour earlier. We got an hour earlier.
You have to prove the calendar.
Oh, do we have to approve that that's the last?
No, you just approved
Separately?
it. No, it's just, yeah, it's just part of the calendar.
Alright.
I just want to make you know, so you're aware of what you're voting.
I was gonna put the graduation in my calendar. And I think I'm looking at the right year. It says the 9th is on Sunday.
For 25?
Oh, this is next year.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, this is next, like 24, 25.
Interesting.
Anytime, Arrow. You're stuck with me.
You can make a motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school year calendar as presented with the change at the bottom regarding the meeting time. Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by, sorry, I'm just,
Heather?
made by Heather, seconded by Courtney. My brain is collapsing tonight. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, the second thing we have, is regarding our meeting, so further discussion on what we just had. Talking about. So there was a little, we looked into this a little bit more in terms of FOI and different policies as to whether we actually had to say the time in the policy. And it was determined that we did not, need to say the exact time, but when we approve the meetings for the year, we need to say then what time we are meeting so that the town hall and other people are informed, so it can go on the website what time it will be, and that needs to be, you know, decided upon and then announced so that it stays the same time throughout
Yes,
the year.
I can, so both the CABE attorney and, the rep from FOI, both stated that it does not need to be in your policy as far as this, correct. However, from FOI, they did say, like, when you follow your meeting, dates, it does, require to be, you have to file the time and location. So even though it's not a policy, you still have to do it through FOI.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because everybody else knows.
But that means we don't have to go back to the policy all the time if we're.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So if one year you wanted it to be 7:30,
Yeah.
another year you wanted it to be
Not
6:30.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to revise your policy.
Yeah.
But you would, if the notification to the town in November would change.
All right, so right now, on this page 43, it still has the 7. I think it still has a time right there.
Yeah, and it's highlighted because not sure what, so.
So I guess that's the question. What do we want to do? Do we want to take a specific time out because as they looked into it, we don't have to have it, or do people
I
want?
thought about that because I had thought less is more, the less that we put in the policy. We have to set it every November. So if we say that, because that's when we approve for the following year, if we say as, I don't know, I didn't really think through how to say it, but as set forth at the November blank meeting, the second meeting in November of every year. And then we don't have to put in the room, we don't have to put in the time. We can just, keep it there, and then every year when, because we might have a new board that says, we can't
Right.
meet 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
So it's decided in November anyway. I think if we put something like that,
Is it? It's our town charter that says that we have to do it in November, right? All the boards and
no,
commissioners.
No, it's actually, if you look at this, it look it's actually, it's addressed in this policy because it says in compliance with Connecticut General
Oh, it's
Statutes.
statutes.
Yeah.
Shall file this calendar with the
Okay.
town clerk, post the calendar
Oh, that's-
on the website if available. Now, FOI goes deeper than that. It, you have to,
state where and when.
correct.
But every year, every board and commission has to do that. So
so that's on page 42 and part B.
I would agree in terms of having it a little more, our policy, just stating that we will, designate days in November, second one, whatever we do, and space in November,
could
for the
maybe
remainder of the year.
Kristen Wordsmith.
I was gonna say, do we need to have him, taking out one more stab at it before we actually vote on it? So we know exactly. Is that fine? Can we kind of say this was a first reading, but we need it to come back?
Yeah, so if I understand it, it's just A under number 3. We're just going to revise the wording and remove the time.
And I think the room.
Yeah.
At least the room, if not the building,
Yeah, and just say it'll be determined when we.
If the board wants something as far as a 2/3 vote, should it go longer than 2.5 hours?
Is that statute? That's just us.
No,
I
but
think we were
that's
fine
right.
with that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it.
A lot of commissions have that kind of, so that people don't just.
Go on all night long.
Go to midnight or something. So I think that's
I'm
fine.
fine.
All right, so do we need to actually vote or can we just say we'll bring that back or?
Yeah,
Where it
you
was
just
under
bring that-
Okay. All right, so we'll bring it back. All right, thank you, everybody, for the input on that. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is liaison reports. And one of the things I wanted to mention for board policy review, we actually did for that subcommittee elected a chair as well, and is that you, Heather? Is that right? Yeah, so Heather's the chair for the subcommittee for board policy.
So will you are you planning to do like Noreen did it in after your meetings or to recap what you did?
Yeah, I mean, so the meeting that we just had last Wednesday.
Mm.
Last Wednesday, we went over, series 3,000. We touched base on that. We touched base on how the finance subcommittee had reviewed it as well. There were a couple different questions. It was brought up that, there would be conversation with Doreen, which sounds like they did that. And then, we were tasked with looking at the series 4,000, but only a portion of it because it's so big that it's going to be segmented out. So we're looking at the 4,000 series, a part of that for right now. Just about it for right now. Where it is. We also touched base on, Betsy and Gabby, that it was their initial, Betsy, yeah, right. It was their initial meeting, so we just kind of, told them how we got to where we are, what we've done. things like that, so. That was kind of about it.
Right, are there other liaisons? Liaison reports from any other?
We had Board of Finance, our regular Board of Finance meeting, which was like,
We were saying it was
14
14
minutes.
minutes long, and if only we could have a meeting that quick. But why can't we, we need to do a calendar. For 15
it
minutes.
was just a general meeting. I mean, it was typical. They just went through everything. They didn't really have any major questions. I don't believe Ryan was able to make that one. Patrick had answered a couple of different questions. I don't think that they had anything major. I think they were.
They did not, there's no questions. There was
Yeah.
much change from the previous financial report to that one.
But for me, I didn't have my building meeting, the town that was canceled. And then Noreen and I have a wonderful Board of Assessment Appeals. Really has no bearing on this group and any, so.
Except we're gonna be very tired, so it's pleasant to us.
I'm looking forward to you all visiting us on Saturdays.
Yeah, we will be there if you want to bring us brownies. Feel free.
Gone to the Conservation Commission and they are looking to put in a town ordinance for scenic roads so that some of the spots around town that are beautiful will make it one step possibly more difficult for solar event, but but just also to try to keep some of the beautiful spots that are around town.
All right, were there any other liaison reports or other?
I did not make it to the last PTO meeting because we were here. We had budgets last week, but their movie night is Friday at the middle school.
And they said it's not a drop off event.
It's not a I think they learned a lesson last year.
There was a bit
That
disastrous.
you have to keep a disclaimer on it.
They have wording set up for the hallways and I think somebody's gonna be a meet and greet out in the parking lot. You can't drop a child off, so.
Yeah, I think they learned last year. I mean, it's just the anecdotal story because it was craziness there. I just went up and guarded the front door because I'm like, oh my God, where are these people? And I had one child say to me, well, no, my mom's picking us up out on the street. And I was like, no, she's not. No, I'm just gonna walk up. I'm like, no, you can get back on your phone and you can call mommy and tell her I'm down here. I'm speaking.
You're hired for this.
I know.
Security, security.
But I'm like, I'm sorry, you are not leaving this building. And I don't know where you were at that point. I'm like,
She was chasing the kids back and forth from the bus.
They may reach out to you for prom or homecoming, Noreen, watch out.
the parent comes down and pulls up in front and is down, and is out of the car like yelling at him. And I was like, I just said, no, come here. Get out of your car and walk over here and I'll save your child. And I was talking to myself, my God. Like, people just think. Okay. So anyway, but it's Friday night. It is migration. They're showing migration at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Doors open at 6. I think the film's coming at 6:10, 6:15.
There's pizza and snacks and whatnot for sale. It's free admission. There's no charge for admission to go, but you must keep your parent with you. What a wonder.
All right, thank you, Noreen, for that update. All right. Next on the agenda, we have public participation. I do not believe we have any more public who have joined us or online at this point, right? We don't have anybody on that.
Yeah, there's no one online, right? Yeah.
All right. Next we have miscellaneous. Do you have any miscellaneous, Patrick?
I did not. No, I was covered actually. in the store report.
I have one quick one. it is Girl Scout cookie season, so if anybody find a local Girl Scout if you want a cookie and well, a box of cookies. 'Cause kids get one. Yeah, you know, just
Yeah.
to let you know that it's that time of year again, so.
Your dog was a Girl Scout, right?
Yes, but I'm not. It's not the reason. By coincidence. If you have like a little friend that you know, I'm not going to try to. I would.
That was so cute.
Are there prizes?
There are prizes.
Are there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
They get small, 60 cents a box.
No, it's actually up to $1 now. But the cookie price went up to $6.
All right, the only thing I was gonna say during miscellaneous, and I will ask Patrick to elaborate a little as well, but we were kind of discussing when we do want to have our next budget workshop, because we still have a couple.
We have one date which we could wrap up, and it's next Wednesday, the 6th. The only thing I was asking Kate was, do we want to consider pushing it back a week? It could be that Wednesday because selfishly, we have our first facility subcommittee that Wednesday, but potentially that Thursday. The only thought was hopefully by that time, I'll have more information on bus contract. So that could, I'm hoping will have a positive impact. And then also, I believe, Ryan, are you still on? Ryan left. Yes. I'm pretty sure that quarterly projections are taking place with the finance subcommittee on the 13th. Does that sound right, Maureen? Yeah. It may be helpful to have that information going into last workshop potentially. I don't know if it really will have an impact based on the last projections, but that was a while ago.
So currently, we were on March 6th, we were gonna have our facilities subcommittee meeting at 5:30, I believe, and then the Board of Ed workshop at 6:30.
Yep. The one's the 13th.
And then the 13th is our regular
Yeah.
scheduled meeting, which would
Maybe
be at
yeah.
7.
What's a subcommittee before that?
Oh.
Finance. Yeah,
Finance.
so I want to do it on that day. They should meet. So I guess.
I think the 6th is okay,
Okay, that's.
because then we'd have the facilities, and it's the first meeting for the
Yeah.
facilities, so I think it's more getting
Yeah,
organization.
no, the only question was Patrick was saying he may have some more numbers or information later. So whether we would want that.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the
Or-
time to get the work done. I may have more, like, I may correct it like a week later, but I mean, I can always adjust that as I go to, if the board's okay with that.
Or could you just have budget discussion during, as an agenda item that following week?
Noreen and I have a meeting, our wonderful BAA,
What,
And what
on
day?
which date?
on the 14th.
So why don't we keep the 6th and to Denise's suggestion, like if there's tweaks or updates, it can be on the board of
We can
events.
have it on our,
Yep,
at our
correct.
meeting as an agenda item.
On the 13th.
That would
Okay.
Thank
Agenda.
you.
So the 6th.
We won't do the 14th. So we're gonna keep the 6th, I think.
6:30.
Okay. Is everybody else able to do the 6th, just so we know if
It's
you have other
6:30. It's
conflicts?
6:30 Wednesday. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this facilities subcommittee is 5:30. The budget workshop is 6:30 on the 6th.
Patrick, do you know when the budget, the public hearing is?
It is 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other date that we did want to mention was that April 8th is the date for us to go before.
Sorry, Noreen, I should ask, clarify, the presentation to the Board of Finance or the public here, because I believe it's two different.
Well, when do you have to have it? Board of Finance has to have our finalized budget by its.
I don't think, I don't know if we necessarily have to have it ahead of time. I know for the superintendents you do. I don't know that necessarily, I mean, I always send it ahead of time, but I don't know if it's actually,
Yeah, I just want you to have a look.
yeah.
So the workshop with the Board of Ed and the Board of Finance is April 8th. So we would invite people to join for that as well if they're able to. That is a Monday night at 7, I have it.
7, yeah. So the two important dates are March 20th,
And the 15th.
and the 8th. 8th is our workshop with the Board of Finance.
Yeah, I have it as, on this sheet that you gave us, it says March 15th. BOE budget presentation to BO at 7:00.
I'll update that. I do know there's,
So this is wrong?
it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I apologize.
So what is it now?
They,
April.
April, yes.
Was March 20th. I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the calendar. I know there was some confusion as far as the initial posting. So let me get clarification. I believe it's 3:20, but let me, just get that clarification.
Okay.
Board of Selectmen, Board of.
Yeah,
They have 3:20, 3:27.
yeah,
I think by started it has to be by then.
yeah. So let me get clarification on the actual date.
All right, so we will check on that. And we will keep you posted, but we will keep this.
Yeah, I'll send an email on all the dates. I'll put it in one email.
All right, any other miscellaneous?
I have one more. The music department, the high school music department on March 8th is having, what are they calling it? Coffee house. It's tacos and talent. Where, it's $5 person. The Spanish club and the music department are combining and, they're gonna sell tickets. And it's just like a talent show. So it's gonna be performances and it's a fundraiser at the high school. Yep. March 8th. I think if you want to be in it, you can. Yes.
That's the best part of it, right?
All right, and then for correspondence in our packets, we have the enrollment report. And an email from, Urban Culture Commission about they were collecting bottle caps and doing some different projects.
I think a new book on the thing you can pick it.
That's the goal. So that's why there's space left to add the books as, they do the one book each year.
All right, so we're in correspondence. Did anybody have any questions about the enrollment report or? All right, and then we do have meeting for an executive session.
Yes,
Um,
should be short.
so if I could have a motion.
Motion to go into executive session. But for pending litigation.
All right, so motion by Heather, seconded by Courtney. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. As you said, the 8:30.